pink, what does that mean?
Okay, so on the count of 3.
Oh my gosh.
And hold it up.
Hold it up, babe.
Actually, down just a little bit.
A little bit, babe.
So I can get the blue. Okay, ready? 1. You want to turn and look at the blue because the feathers are going to come.
Look at the balloon.
Ready, guys?
Rena? 1, 2.
3.
I knew it! I knew it! Yes! All right! Dwight said that sucks.
Okay, you guys want to hold it? It's a girl sign.
Hello, we were right. We were right. $50. No, I'm just kidding. Well, Nelly got what she wanted.
Okay, we're all gathered back in there again. Perfect. All right, ready, say, girl. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my pregnancy with Sev. All right, so if you watched my other video, you know that me and my husband, we found out that we were pregnant with Sevy really early on. We were like 4 weeks along when we found out. So we were excited, of course, and we really wanted to know what she was. We found out her gender really early on. We went to a early gender detection ultrasound out here. Super funny. So make sure you look for dad and big brother's face because they weren't very happy that it was a girl, but that was a fun moment. So when we found out Sevy's condition, our specialist at maternal fetal medicine, he just said, hey, what would be best for you as far as coming in to check on things? Do you guys want to come in every week, every 2 weeks? So we opted to go in every 2 weeks. We thought that that would be a good, time frame to check in and see how things are going and whatnot. So, so after the initial diagnosis scan, when we went in for the next scan, the specialist took a better look or a closer look at Sevyn's brain, and that's when he gave us the diagnosis of alobar holoprocencephaly, which there's alobar, semi-lobar, and lobar. So there's 3 different types of holoprocencephaly, with alobar being the most severe. So it's basically the absence of the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So we had known that, Sevyn may have, because of course with the scans, they're never 100%, right? The doctor is just getting in there, looking at stuff, and then you will know for sure once baby is here and examined and all that. So we knew that she potentially had, no eyes, cleft lip and palate, no nasal bone. And so with the holoprocencephaly, a lot of the midline, like the nose and, the cleft lip and palate, it can cause that. So we didn't know for sure. And being that my placenta was anterior, which was on the outer side, it was a lot of times really tricky to see Sev. She loved to cuddle up, like put her face into the placenta. She didn't really want to show us her face much. So we knew that during this pregnancy, we wanted to do as many bucket list things that we could. So after the initial shock of Sev's diagnosis kind of started to like mellow and smooth out, we're like, okay, we need to maximize our time with this little girl. Like we need to do things to really create these memories that are gonna last forever with baby. So first trip that we took her on was to the ocean. I remember it like it was yesterday. The kids were super excited. I love being outdoors, as do our other kids. And so I knew that this would be a moment that Sev would love as well. So I just remember just inhaling and exhaling on the shore and just listening to the waves and just really making sure that I was soaking up every piece of this moment. And closing my eyes, I can see it again. The kids were busy collecting all types of stones and rocks, and I ended up putting all of those little beautiful collected items into a jar, and I labeled it because that was the first bucket list trip that we ever took. So after that, we took Sevy to the zoo. I had pictures from the zoo. I also took her to a concert. I knew that if Sev is anything like her mom and dad, she's gonna love music, right? So she was just bouncing away in my belly. So we also read to her, we sang to her, but one of her most favorite things to ever do was to go to church. She loved praise and worship. Her favorite song amongst them all was Reckless Love, hands down. She would just move and groove in my belly when that song would come on, and I just would just rejoice in just all the glory, just being able to share that moment with my baby. I remember telling my husband, if I could carry my baby for the rest of my life, I'd do it if that would mean that it would keep her safe. That's how much I wanted to keep my baby girl safe, and I knew that as long as she was inside of me, she was safe. So with Sev's pregnancy being a little bit different than my other pregnancies, I didn't want a baby shower. I didn't want to get all these items that I may not be able to potentially use with her. So I came up with the idea to have a mother-baby blessing. And so for that, I invited all of my close girlfriends, friends and family, and it was a complete ladies event. And on the invites, I just asked that the guests bring one thing with them, and that would be a book. I love to read both day and night to Sevyn, and just write a little note inside of it so that I could read that to her too, so she knew who it was from. And during that time at my mother baby blessing, we made Trisomy 13 ribbons, which was great because, like me, my friends had never heard of Trisomy 13. So it was a great opportunity to raise awareness for them to create their very own Trisomy 13 ribbon, and then to wear it loud and proud on Trisomy 13 Awareness Day, which is March 13th. We also did a belly cast, and that was super special. That belly cast is something that I'm gonna treasure forever because it was made with so much love and so much care. So I just wanted to make sure during my pregnancy that we cherished every moment. I documented heavy. I took pictures. I took as many videos as I could. So I just really wanted to make sure that I documented every single step of this journey with Sev, because with the doctor saying that she would likely pass away in utero and not make it to Earth's side, I wanted to make sure that if my baby's life was only gonna be in my womb, that I made it the best life that it could be. So I wanted to share something with you guys too. So if you know me and you're watching this video, you know that I refer to Sevyn as my baby butterfly. And so if you don't know me and you're not familiar with this, let me give you a little backstory. So butterflies have been so significant. I just always have referred to Sev as my baby butterfly. And I remember the day after she gained her wings, her angel wings, my daughter had made breakfast for me and my husband, and we came downstairs. We're eating breakfast. I was actually sitting in this exact spot here, and the entire house was super heavy, just super down, very depressing time. And I remember looking outside. Okay, let me rewind on the rewind, okay? I lost my mom when I was 6 years old. My mom passed away. And my mom had a very deep love for butterflies. And we actually have a butterfly on her marker at the cemetery. And so I always, when I would think of butterflies, I'd think of my mom. A butterfly just flew by. I swear to you guys, I'm not making this up. I wish I could have gotten it on camera. So I ended up referring to Sevyn as my baby butterfly. And so go back to the day after she passed away. I'm sitting in this exact spot, right? I'm eating my breakfast, or at least trying to eat my breakfast. And I look outside, and there was a big butterfly that flew by my window. And right after that big butterfly flew by, a smaller butterfly followed. And I just, tears streaming down my face. I asked my husband to look, my daughter to look, and we just watched this as this big butterfly was flying and then this little butterfly was following. It was almost as if my mom was telling me, we're okay. I've got your baby girl. She's good. And that summer, spring/summer, I seen more butterflies than I've ever seen in my life. And again, if you know my story and you're watching this video and you remember that time, I'm sure that you remember seeing those butterflies too. I've never seen so many ever in my life. Crazy, crazy amount of butterflies. So, okay, going back to my pregnancy story. So I've always referred to Sev as my baby butterfly. Even when I was pregnant with her, she's my baby butterfly. And so, with cherishing every moment of my pregnancy, of course, I had to face the inevitable, right? One day, whenever that was gonna be, I was gonna have my baby. So I wanted to make sure that I was prepared. And so me and my husband, we created a super solid, thorough birth plan, which is essential. Having something on paper so that everybody's familiar with your story, or with your baby's condition and with your wishes was just super duper important, because looking back on things, that was something that it just made everything so much easier. So during my pregnancy, there's a lot of things that you can face with a genetic diagnosis, something as deep as Sevyn's. A lot of doctors will offer the option to terminate your pregnancy, which for me, I knew this was something that I didn't want to do. So that wasn't for me. So, but with that, you also, okay, so say you decide that you're not gonna terminate your baby, well then you have different choices that you need to make from there. So again, this ties back into the birth plan, but you can choose no interventions, full interventions. I knew for me, I just wanted to support Sevyn, and whatever Sev wanted to do, we were gonna support her in that. So every day was a true miracle with her. And we relished in those moments, and we cherished those moments, and we maximized them as best as we could. And I don't want you guys to think that through all of this, it was easy, because by no means was it easy. And I know for me, at the time, I was working from home, which was a true blessing, because there were times when I didn't want to face the world. There were times when I didn't want to tell my story or Sevyn's story again and again and again. There were rough days. There were times where I just really, all I wanted to do was cry. There were days where I was angry. There were days where I was thankful. So overall, other than Sev's diagnosis, I had a pretty healthy pregnancy. I felt good. I was making sure I was eating good and taking my prenatal vitamins and additional supplements just as added support. So I felt healthy, but it just was hard emotionally. And so at about 33 weeks along, I started to develop high blood pressure, which was a bit concerning, just because I had preeclampsia with my first daughter. So the doctor just said, we'll keep an eye on things. It's not for sure that you will become preeclamptic, but we just know from your medical history that you do have a chance to go there. So we're just gonna keep an eye on it. So they put me on blood pressure meds, and unfortunately, my blood pressure still continued to be concerning. So I remember at about 34 weeks, I had my blood pressure meds changed. And so from that point, the doctor was like, we're just gonna keep an eye on things and see what happens with the blood pressure and just really pay attention to things. And if we gotta deliver baby, we'll deliver baby. And I did want to go back and explain something else, because I know I said this in my other video. So my whole journey to VBAC with Sevyn came to a screeching halt. So after I was seeing the specialist at maternal fetal medicine and we went over my delivery options, I chose to go the C-section route. And the reason why I chose that route is, had I chose to VBAC, it could potentially make things harder on Sevyn than they already were. And I just thought about, Sev already had a lot of things going on. The last thing that I wanted to do was put her through the stress of a vaginal delivery. So we had set up the C-section date to deliver her at 38 weeks. And so I remember going in for my 36-week appointment, And the doctor just saying, you know, we'll keep an eye on things, see how things go, but if, you know, things keep climbing up, then we're gonna have a discussion around delivering baby girl. So at 36 weeks, 2 days, my husband and I went out on a date day, which we don't get much, and it was the most amazing day. We went and had the most phenomenal breakfast, and it was this place that has all the goodies. So we had a delicious breakfast, then we followed that up with a day at the arcade. Well, not a day. We ended up going to this arcade. It was like a hole-in-the-wall arcade with all of the throwback video games. I killed my husband in Pac-Man. We had so much fun. We felt like two big kids. So after we went to the arcade, I had been checking my blood pressure at home. I had like a little at-home blood pressure cuff, but those aren't always the best as far as getting an accurate read. So I stopped over at Rite Aid and took my blood pressure, and it was elevated. It was extremely high. It was reading red on the screen. So I took a picture of it with my phone, and we hung out some more, and then we went right back to the Rite Aid, and I did another read, and it was still reading high. So I had an appointment coming up that following Monday. This was a Saturday. Something told me when we got home after we laid in bed for a bit, my husband fell asleep. I'm like, let me call labor and delivery and just see what they think. So I call, I tell them, you know, what my blood pressure reads were for the day, the 2 reads that I did. And they just said, you know, let's just have you come in and we'll check things out, maybe do some labs and kind of go from there. So I'm like, oh gosh. So I had to wake up my husband, and I go tell my kids what's going on. And my older daughters were like, okay, should you bring your stuff with you, like your bags and stuff? I'm like, oh no, I'll be back. And so we get to the hospital, and they do the lab works. They hook me up to the fetal monitor, and they come back into the room like an hour or so later, and the nurse says, oh, so you have severe preeclampsia, and we're gonna need to deliver the baby this morning. And this is like 1 a.m. at this point. And I'm like, this morning? So I wake up my husband, and he's like, this morning? So we go from thinking that we still have another couple of weeks with Sev safely tucked away in my belly, to now finding out at 36 weeks, 2 days, we're gonna be delivering her today. Flood of shocking emotions and fear. I immediately contacted my daughters to let them know what was going on, and contacted, you know, lots of friends and family members to tell them what was going on, and had lots of prayer warriors lifting us in prayer. And I am gonna stop the video there because I just wanted to share with you guys the pregnancy. I know I'm leaving you at a bit of a cliffhanger, but I just thought it was important that I share those details of Sev's pregnancy. So in my next video, I will be sharing with you Sevyn's delivery and beyond. So again, I appreciate you guys walking back through this journey with me. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and like this video, share it with a friend or family member, and subscribe so you can see future videos of mine. I appreciate all the love and support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys. Bye.